Ta-da! All right. So we are all set and ready to go. So this is the August. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. What I call the meeting to order at 6:59. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now you can walk me through the rest.
All right. So you can read this wonderful slide that's up there about the meeting protocol.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So this meeting will be recorded. Upon entry, please update your title information to include first and last name. Example, Bob's iPhone or 555555 must be changed. Your microphone will be muted upon entry to the virtual conference room. Only the room host will unmute you. Please do not unmute yourself. All votes must be taken through roll call process. During the public input, you must state your name and address prior to your question or statement.
Okay. So this one is, we're not going to have you read it because we go through this every single time. But essentially, the chat function has been disabled because it goes against the open meeting law. So there's been like side conversations and things like that have happened in an aspect of going against the open meeting law. So if anybody has any questions, please use the raise your hand function, and myself, or when I hand over the control to someone else, will get to you when you raise your hand when we have time available for the public input. If you are on your phone, you can use *6 and it will essentially do the same thing. Okay. All right. So this is our agenda for the evening.
Oh, gosh.
So we already did our call to order.
All right. So let's get commissioner updates. Let's see. You mind calling the roll call, Alicia, and see who's
Not all. So I will introduce Saul. Saul is our new commissioner. So Saul, I don't know if you want to say a few words. Welcome. I think you should be good. No. Let's try one more time, Saul. So I'm trying to unmute you.
There we go.
Hey!
So yeah, happy to be here and looking forward to working with everybody. So obviously I'm sort of new and gonna have to pick up and see where we're at. But yeah.
We'll walk you through it. Anything you want to add about yourself that
so yeah, I have been in town since 2003. Was fairly involved in the castle rebuild and sort of started getting more involved with the town after that, and that led me here. So, and my kids are in a lot of the programs and at the beach a lot, so it's
I saw them at sailing this past week.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Saul. It's great to see you. So as far as updates for everybody else, let's go ahead and I'm trying to move like little boxes around. I hope you guys can't see them all. So Fred's not going to be here tonight. Kevin, you aren't currently, I think, in any active committees. And Sean, if you wanted to give an update on the COVID-19 Recreation Working Group.
Yeah, sure. I had a meeting today. Basically, one of the takeaways I had.
Oh, you're on mute.
Oh.
Hold on, he's on mute. There we go.
How about
Sean,
now?
you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
All right. talking about later on, Alicia, the I think it's on the agenda for later for the extended hours at to take
the
over
extended
for
dates.
yeah.
Yep.
That was kind of the big. There was really nothing earth-shattering other than what you guys are thinking about doing for the extended. It's not a camp, but the extended use down at Castle in the Trees, and I think we're going to get to that later.
We will, yeah, later on. We've got John on the call, so he'll go through some of that stuff. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I'm done.
Okay. I think the only other thing for you all just to be aware of with the COVID-19 Recreation Working Group is they did recently change one of the listings for the sports because remember they had the low risk, moderate risk, and the high risk. So they have moved soccer from high risk to moderate. So we did have a phone call with Bobby Crench earlier, and we talked about, the Littleton Youth Soccer Club getting up to speed and trying to get them their fall season in. With that, we had the discussion on, are there going to be amendments because there's still certain components of soccer that could be considered contact. So, do we amend that? What does that look like? So, there's the state organization for soccer, mass soccer, that has certain rules and guidelines how everything should be operated. And I think one of the concerns that we all had was that there's a lot of amendments and changes that have been made to from the sidelines out. But once you cross the field and walk onto the field, a lot of the things were similar. So, that's something we'll have to come back to later on. But part of that discussion was how do we modify the game so that we are genuinely making it a moderate risk sport where they can play the games. So, yeah, we had a little discussion on that.
Okay.
All right. And Mike Levasseur, if you had anything about the Community Preservation Commission.
Before I go into that, I did have a question for Sean. Besides soccer being a low or a level lowered, to allow for play, basketball's in the same boat. Are we going to open up the courts now?
So basketball, to my knowledge, was not moved.
By the state, yes, it was.
Was it? Okay, so let me look into that because that's not something I remember seeing.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Okay.
Yep. Well, I think it's one of those things. If it has been moved, we're going to be asked about it, so
right.
We should be able to move on it. Okay.
Yep. I hear you.
And in regards to the CPC, we have a meeting tomorrow night. Nothing from Park and Rec is on the table, but if there's something you want me to bring forward, you can let me know.
We had a thought of something we were going to move forward with, but I think we've since then gone back on that idea, which we'll kind of talk about what we're wanting to do instead. So we'll get to that a little bit later.
Got the dog park?
No, we were considering getting a bubble tent to run programming, but we came up with a better solution.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I'm gonna move along here. Okay, so there's minutes. I sent those out to you all for the 8/03/2020, the special park commission meeting. So if you all want to review those.
Alicia, can you make sure everyone's muted because there's a lot of noise coming through.
Okay, let me check. Yeah, it looks like.
So this is the minutes for the August 3rd meeting. Is that what we're reviewing?
That's correct.
Okay.
I've read them, so I'm ready for you to make a motion. If Sean and Saul have.
Yeah, we will take a motion to accept the minutes.
I'm going to make a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting.
I second.
All right. So we have to do a roll call for everything, right?
That's correct.
All right. So Mike,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
Saul,
Aye.
and Kevin is an aye.
Thank you very much. All right. So the next we have a request from Debbie Regan. I hope I'm saying that right, Debbie. That would like to use Fay Park Gazebo for a wedding ceremony on Saturday, August 29th. So Debbie is here. So I will let you have the floor and we'll ask you a few questions. So if you want to tell us about your event, what you're looking as far as how long you would need the park for, and what how many people would be in attendance.
Okay, sure. So we're hoping to. Do you want me to do video? Or does it not?
It's up to you.
Okay. I guess we're here. So we're hoping to use the gazebo in Fay Park. It'll just be our immediate, well, Dennis's parents and my immediate family. So it'd be 10 people total, an officiant and a photographer. And so I think it would be, we'd want to do the pictures first and then a short ceremony. So if we could have it from like 1 to 5, is that what we said? 1 to 5, just to be sure that, you know, everything's done and we're out and everything. But we wouldn't be eating there or anything. It would just be for the ceremony and pictures.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and everybody's getting tested beforehand because Dennis's father takes immunosuppressants, so we're going to be like super careful.
Yeah. Basically, if you don't test negative, you can't come.
Wow. Okay. So one thing that's typical for the any of the rentals for these locations are if it's something that's over 2 hours, that typically you would have to get a porta potty rental.
Okay.
So that's something that, you know, I don't know if the Park Commission wants to implement that or not. So I guess if you want to talk about how long, you know, the ceremony and all of those pieces are going to take, because so we recently just had a wedding last weekend, and they had people kind of coming and going, whether they were like setting up some of the flower arrangements and things like that. Ultimately, they decided that they did want to get a porta potty, but their ceremony itself had only taken, I think it was 15 or 30 minutes as well.
Yeah.
I mean, does that depend on how many people do you need to have on site for that to be like something you need to do? How many did you say?
No,
Sorry, it's the amount of hours.
How long? Oh.
Yeah, how long? So if it's over 2 hours, typically for events, they would ask that you rent a porta potty for the day.
Okay. I mean, the ceremony, same thing. It'll only be like 20 minutes probably.
You think it'll be that long?
I don't know. We haven't written it.
It's going to be real short.
It's going to be a very casual thing.
We have parents in their 70s who are going to want to be standing around for too long, so that's going to move things forward.
Sure. Would you
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, this is Kevin. Would you consider shortening the time a little bit, just so that, because I think you said 1 to 5, that's a 4-hour time slot. Is
Yeah.
that all that time, you think?
Well,
No, I mean,
part of it's
so
photos.
right. So part of that is photos. So if we just visit the park where the event actually starts, does that work?
Yeah, we're not going to have like all the people there for, I would guess, more than an hour. And then we're just going to be there taking pictures. So hypothetically speaking, there could be other
Sure.
people, or we could work around it.
I would be fine with waiving the porta potty requirement, but definitely anyone else definitely jump in.
No, this is Sean. I'm on board with that. I think we can waive that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree.
Same here. This is Mike. Same here.
Thanks.
All right. So can we get a motion to for Debbie Regan to have a vow ceremony on August 29th, 2020 from, you said 1 to 5, if I'm correct?
Please.
All right, can we get a motion?
So moved.
All right.
Is that good enough, or do we need to do the whole thing?
Paul.
And a second?
I'll second. This is Mike.
All right, so we have to go
You
through a
got-
roll call. We could do a roll call again. So Mike is a yes. Oh, sorry. Mike?
Aye.
Sean? Sean?
Did we lose Sean? We might have lost Sean.
Me?
Yep, you.
What do you want me to do? Oh, hi.
No, John.
Hi, John.
All right, we'll come back to Sean.
Oh, yeah, it looks like he dropped out.
Saul is a yes.
All right, and Kevin is a yes.
There he goes. He's popped right back in now.
All right. Sean, we
You
just
there,
need-
Sean?
You there? Oh, the joys of Zoom.
Uh-huh.
Sean, are you there?
It's connecting right now.
Okay.
And we got a big fat X. Oh, hold on a second. Let me text him here.
The fate of our wedding is hanging on Zoom.
I know.
I know.
Hanging on Sean and Zoom.
Well, the good thing is that you have a quorum, so even if Sean can't respond right now, you have your 3 votes that you would need.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, Sean keeps trying, but it's not working.
Is there like a present, or does it have to be a yay or a nay, or?
For Sean,
Yeah.
we can just say that when you took the roll call, it was the 3 of you, and we will leave Sean out of that roll call.
Is that good for everyone?
Yep.
All right. So,
You know that Fred's not here.
all right. So the request is approved, and congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Debbie, I'll check in with you if we want to just kind of meet out there and go through a few things. It's just kind of helpful to give you guys an idea of, where you can park, all of those kind of things. And so if you have some time, we have a little bit of time to play with here, but I'm sure you probably want to go over those things sooner than later. So we can, I'll reach out to you tomorrow by email, and we can try to set something out.
Perfect. Thank
Okay. Congrats.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So let's get back to the agenda here.
All right.
We'll stop there.
And don't feel the need to hang around for all the exciting Parks and Recs business that is about to happen. You
We
can,
won't.
of course.
We won't. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right.
All right.
Whoop. Hey there, Dan.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Hanging outside, huh?
Yeah, I'm up at the beach.
Oh, nice.
No.
We're on vacation, but Mike's coaching a game, so I was like, all right, I'll call it.
So this was a request that we kind of talked a little bit about at the last meeting. It wasn't on the agenda, so we put it on the agenda tonight to review this. So if Dan, you want to go through a little bit, you're looking at collaborating with Mike DePietro. It's not the Mariners, it's a different organization. So if you
Right.
just kind of want to go through that and
Yeah.
a little bit, that'd be
Yep.
great.
Exactly. So there's a couple of things for fall baseball. Assuming we're still allowed to have it, but for fall baseball, the plan is to do something similar to what we've done in the past for our 10U and 12U, which is going to be like skills and drills and sort of sandlot style pickup, but more just sort of in town. It's not a travel league, and we'll probably do. These are on the smaller fields, but it's all Littleton stuff, and we'll register through us. And so we would do what we normally do with Park and Rec, is just pay on a per registrant fee. The challenge that we were running into was for our Babe Ruth age kids, so these is 13 and up. We in the past have not had enough kids from Littleton alone to form our own team. Mike has been, he's the varsity baseball coach. He's been doing a good job of kind of recruiting his players and other kids in town to continue playing, even when they kind of don't play for the league anymore. So he's offered through his club program to kind of take all of our players and put them onto a team. It's not the Littleton Mariners. That's a summer team that he runs. That's like, for high school, like late high school and into early college age kids. This is meant to be, mainly for the kids in Littleton to play, but that you have to do it as sort of a 13U team separate from a 14 and 15U combined team, and then the older high school kids. So he's not sure exactly, and I'm not sure how many kids we're going to get from Littleton specifically to make up on these teams, but he will at least find other players to form teams so the kids are guaranteed to play. When we switched from the league paying, basically a percentage or a portion of the league maintenance costs to a per registrant player, I think, and Alicia, you can keep me honest here, I think you implemented sort of a similar thing for outside teams wanting to play using Littleton Fields on a per registrant fee, but it was sort of dependent upon what the percentage makeup of those teams were, of how many Littleton players were on there. So if 75% were or more were on the team, then the team would get charged $10 or $15, whatever the number is, per
So let
player.
me clarify, this was a park
Yep.
commission policy. I have to implement it. I didn't create it.
No, understood. But like the policy is, right, that's what the fee is. And if it's less than 75%, then it would be a higher fee. And what I was saying is for this year, I really have no idea what the makeup is, but I do know that all of the Littleton players are going to be playing through the system. And I didn't feel that it would be, I didn't want to charge all of our Littleton players more than what the normal fee would be, just because they happen to play on a team that may have slightly less than 75% of Littleton players. And so Mike is willing to take on all of our players across these multiple teams. And so I said, hey, maybe a win-win would be, regardless of what the actual percentage makeup is for the fall of this year, why don't we agree to some fixed fee that's in between the two costs, whether it's if it's $15 for normal, 75% or more makeup of the team for Littleton, and I think it's $35 if it's not. Maybe we split the difference and do something in between. And so that was the proposal. That way, Mike knows what the costs are, and we're keeping the cost down for the Littleton players as well. And as well, you guys, from the town perspective, have more of a guaranteed revenue stream. So they're not saying like, well, we can't afford $35 per player. We're going to have to go find fields at some other town, that now we lose the revenue, and now all of our kids are traveling to other towns, potentially putting them further at risk from COVID. So that was, the proposal was real simply, can we agree on a fixed fee per player per each of these teams independent of the final makeup of the percentage of Littleton players.
All right, anyone? Questions?
I have a question. This is Mike. At this point, I would imagine the leagues are going to, pretty close to, starting up. Have you gotten a heat check at all from the Littleton constituents as far as their interest level in playing?
So we sent out the link to registration for fall ball. But that's, again, this is why it's different than what I would normally have access to, because it's not through our website, right? So for 10U and 12U, that all comes to me, so I would know exactly how many people are registered. For Mike's team, it's all going through his website, so I don't know what the interest level is. I mean, I can tell you, I already know my son is registered, and 3 of the other kids that he plays with is registered, but I don't know. Beyond that, I'm not sure. We're not in contact with everybody who might be playing.
Well, can you have Mike let us know then, if it's going to his website?
In terms of what the numbers are and the percentage numbers are?
Correct. At this point.
Okay. I can certainly ask him to send that along. I mean, I guess, Mike, my question is, why does that matter, right? The question is, can we, without knowing what the final numbers are, can we agree on a fixed cost ahead of time? That's really what the ask is.
Well, the way I look at it is, if it's close to, the 75%, it does make a difference in my mind. But I can have the other commissioners speak up and see how they feel about it at this point.
I have a question about in terms of the fee structure. Is what percentage of the fee is the 15 or the 35? Are we?
I'll clarify that for
you. Is it
you.
going to make a difference to the players, or is it a rounding error in the cost of the program?
No, so Mike runs these programs at cost for himself, so he doesn't make any money off of the fall programs. This is really just to get these kids playing. So we essentially it's all pass through. So the more you charge, the more he charges.
Okay.
Which is the genesis of this request. I was like, well, man, I don't want to just try to stick it to people from Littleton just because we don't know what the percentage is. But he has to register them, and they have to pay at the time of registration. So is he assuming that, he's gonna have the cost structure of whatever, $35 per player or 15? And if he's right now saying like, well, I'm hoping that it's 15, but now we're forcing Mike to eat the cost of the additional fee per player when we don't know what the percentage is, I'm not sure that, that's fair for him, right? So this is sort of how this was born. I get it. If you have some player, some coach from some other town that just wants to come in with a team and use our fields, okay, I get it. Like, say, you know what, $35 or whatever the cost is, fine. But this is our varsity coach who's trying to build a program in our town and trying to keep the kids in Littleton playing. To me, I would think we'd want to do everything we can to try to enable that to happen. So, I think this is a small ask, frankly, to kind of give them a little break here on the cost of registering players when the fields aren't even going to get used anyway.
I mean, I'm in the sort of same mindset as Dan. If it's primarily for Littleton, or hopefully Littleton players for the varsity team within the town, residents of the town, I don't have a problem with it as an ask. So I'm sorry, I was switching devices and I apologize. I missed some of it. So what was the price difference? It was the $15 between the $15 and the $35.
Yeah. So the policy as it stands, and Saul, I'm just going to give you like a little bit of background since you're new to the commission. So for a very long time, we ended up doing a kind of a percentage, and we would figure out either at the end of the year or like end of season, how much each of the sports had to essentially put towards the bills to pay for the field maintenance. So to try to make it more amenable to everybody, we the park commission changed the prices. I think it's been about 2 years now. So the essentially what we're talking about right now with a category that like Littleton youth baseball and softball or would fit into, they would pay $15 per participant per season. So that would cover them for the entire season. So the difference is if a team is 75% residents, then they would get that same $15 per person per season rate. If they cannot meet that 75% registration on the roster, then they would be charged the out-of-town fee or the non-resident fee, which would be $35 per person per season.
Jen, so you don't have any sort of, and I totally get it, like you don't have any numbers of what you think out-of-town participation will be?
I don't. I think, Mike certainly obviously has a vested interest in getting as many Littleton players as possible. So that's certainly our hope. And for us, it's a lot easier for him to manage it because if he needs to pull players from other towns to make a complete team, he has the connections to do so, whereas we don't. That's why we said we're shuttling every single one of our players 13 and up over to Mike to register through him because he's going to run the teams and provide the coaching and all that stuff. So I don't have visibility into what, if anybody's registered. Oh, I know my son and three other people have registered yet without paying because we don't know what the fee structure is yet. So I don't know if people have registered, if they've not registered, how many is registered, of the people who've registered, are they from Littleton? I don't know that. Mike can provide it, but I can tell you this is the only option that we're providing to Littleton players.
Anybody else? Is Sean back with us?
He's there. He's on mute. I'm not sure if he can talk. I can try to take him off mute and see what happens. Sean, you there? And he's gone.
So, and I guess the other question I had is, so it's a one-time fee per player, no matter how many times how does the fee structure?
Per season.
Per season.
Per season. Yep.
Yeah.
And by the way, let me just be clear, like the request, this isn't for perpetuity. This is just for this fall, given all the craziness with COVID. So this isn't something we want to say it's a permanent thing. Like I just wanted to give some relief to the kids trying to play and them and Mike trying to help us pull the teams together.
Sure. I mean, I think I don't know. Alicia, do you have any concerns? I mean,
the decision on the pricing is completely up to you guys, what you want to do. The only concern that I have, Dan, and I don't know if you have answers for this, is the I guess the mixing of groups, because that's something that we're trying to create programs to assist the schools, and that's one of the things that we kind of have to be really cognizant about is the amount that groups are interacting with, whether it's outside town or in the schools. They're putting themselves into these pods and things like that. So one of the concerns that's come up at like the COVID-19 recreation group was how are we doing a control for any of these traveling teams? How do we kind of keep track of that, and how do we do the contact tracing with that? So that's like, as far as the pricing, that's totally up to you guys. So Dan, I don't know if you can speak to that at all.
I mean, the only thing I can say, I mean, I certainly appreciate that, and that's one of the reasons why we didn't even run a spring or summer program, was because of our concerns of being able to do that effectively. I will say Mike has, his program, his club program has been playing through the fall and through the spring and the summer. And, he submitted a safety plan to you guys, and that's the procedures that he'll be following. So, to the extent that there are overt risks from playing, that always exists. I can't speak to any additional procedures or concerns that, you might have. I think that's something that is probably independent of this conversation, right? It's
Correct.
if there's a concern around having any type of multi-town players or any of our teams playing other towns, I think that's probably needs to be decided on separately. I think for this, it's more of as long as the fields are still open and the safety plan is still approved, then they can still play. And are you okay with the fee structure? If there's another concern, I think you probably want to address that separately.
Has there been a history of sort of adjusting fees or modifying fee? This one obviously is new, but I'm just wondering, are we setting ourselves up for trouble by modifying something, and then the next person's going to come and ask, why don't I get a deal?
So the one thing that I've done in the past, so when we implemented these fees, it was pretty much right before the spring summer season had started. So Mike had come to us in a past year when, so I think it was 2 years ago, when we first implemented the fees, and we allowed him to have a cheaper rate because he had already done his budgeting and had figured, what his costs needed to be for that program. So we did give him assistance at that time. That's the only real history I think that we have of doing that, because it was the right thing to do. I mean, you can't just expect to change the fees and then, implement something like that overnight, especially at the beginning of the season. So
if I could just add, I think this is, in my mind, a special case in the sense that, and the reason that I'm here is saying, like, we've worked with Mike to try to provide an offering to the Littleton players, and this is the only choice that they have because that's how we decided to go with. I'm not saying that any team that Mike brings should have some special rate. I think in this case, I'm arguing because this is going to be a direct pass-through cost to our players that I wanted to try to keep the fees down.
And I mean, just my professional opinion, I think that, it has been a really hard time for all of the leagues. And, parents have absolutely, you think about it, the amount of people that have been laid off, or,
Exactly.
The ways that families have really been affected. It's something that, we're thinking about in our pricing as we're doing our programming as well. So it's not, in my professional opinion, I don't think it's an invalid request.
Yeah, so in terms of, bottom line, this is not going to affect Parks and Recs in any adverse way if we do a...
We're already there.
So, yeah, I any more questions, comments?
Well, Dan, you had mentioned somewhere in between. What is your thought?
I was thinking $20, but I would obviously defer to what you guys think is appropriate, but that was what I was thinking.
I'm good with that, if everybody else is.
All right, so can we get that in the form of a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the request from LIBS for use of the LPS high school baseball field in collaboration with Mike DiPietro. with a fee structure. Yeah, with a fee structure of $20 per player for the fall 2020 season.
All right, can we get a second?
Second.
All right, so we got to do a roll call. Mike?
Aye.
Saul?
Aye.
Sean, are you in there? All right, Kevin's a yes.
God.
And Sean is here somewhere.
MIA. All right, Dan. So let's, I know you're on vacation clearly, but when you get a chance, give me a call when you get back into town and we'll set everything up. Okay.
That sounds great. I'll be back on Monday.
Okay. Awesome. Enjoy. Have a good time.
All right, have a good
Thank you. Hey, yeah, appreciate it. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great night.
All right.
All right. So I will walk you through these, the next ones here. So we've had some very awesome, kind donations, which is, awesome. I love, it's just heartwarming when we get this stuff from the community. So we had a $100 donation from Eamon and Allison Moran to go specifically to the beach, just in appreciation for the investment in the installation of the access net that we put down at Long Lake Beach. So that's the first one that we have. Pretty straightforward. I don't know if there's any other information on that I can give you. Go back. Okay.
Do we take these one by one, or can we do them as a?
You can do them one by one. I'm trying to get Sean back in here. Sorry about that. It's hard to juggle the host responsibilities and get all the minutes and everything down too. Okay, so Sean should be back in, but yeah, so if you want to do them individually, I think that would probably be the best way to move forward with the votes.
Okay.
All right, so can we get a motion to accept the $100 donation from Eamon and Allison Moran?
So moved.
All right, roll call. Mike?
Oh, we didn't get a second.
Aye.
I heard
give
one.
me a second. Sorry, hold on. We need a second.
All right. I said second.
Oh,
Thank
okay.
you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. And that was an aye vote from Mike. Is that correct?
Yes.
Saul?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye, I am back.
Aye, he's back. And Kevin is a yes.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. And so the second one that we have is a $2,750 donation from the Rotary Club of Littleton. They donated this money specifically to go into the scholarship fund to provide 10 camp registrations. So again, that's above and beyond and really appreciated from the Rotary.
All right, can we get a motion to accept the $2,750 donation from the Rotary Club of Littleton?
Motion to, okay, go ahead. Second.
All right, so did Saul?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, I made the motion.
Sean's the second?
Yes.
All right, and we'll go through the roll call. Mike?
Aye.
Saul?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Kevin is a yes. All right. We're cooking.
Woo! That was an easy one, guys. Well done.
All right.
Okay. Fred, it looks like he just popped in here real quick. And that's perfect timing because we have the Park Commission reorganization. So the way that these work is we can, so there's nominations that are made. And then let me look at my minutes really quick. So there's a nomination that'll be made. You guys can talk about it, and then you could second the position. And then I would say that once we, so then you'll vote on each of those kind of as we go through. So I know it's a lot of roll calls. Kevin, get ready.
All right.
But this one, I'll help you if you've got questions, but this is up to you guys to do the nominations and all of those pieces. I'm out of that.
So is Fred currently the chair?
Fred has been kind of acting as the chair, but we have not had a chair since Mike Prue left back in June, officially. So currently we don't have one.
Fred has been a chair before. If Fred's up for it, I would make a motion to have Fred as the chair.
Since he's not here, we're going to second that motion.
He is, yeah.
He should be here.
He is here.
Wow, he's here. All right, Fred, are you here?
Yeah, I am. In the dark.
Oh, wow. You wish to be chair of the parks, accept the nomination, I guess, or?
No, I don't, but I'm not going to. Let me rephrase that. It is with minimal enthusiasm that I'll do this. But yeah, no, I certainly understand. It's fine. But you guys have to vote on it. So we need a strong vice chair, though. Somebody may be really new to the commission.
Yeah. It's usually the new guy.
That's the way it goes.
So can we get a second? Because, Mike, you nominated Fred. Is that correct?
Second.
All right. Saul got the second. All right. So we'll roll call. We'll go with, we'll start with Fred.
No, I don't think I can vote.
Oh, you can't vote on yourself. That's right. So I will start with Mike.
Folks, after this, I got to step out. I'm going to try to get my iPad. I'm back home, so I'm going to try to set up.
Sounds good. Sean?
Aye.
Saul?
Aye.
And Kevin is a yes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Fred. All right, moving on to vice chair.
I would nominate Kevin.
I knew you were going to do that.
I heard you're outstanding.
Yeah. I will take up that role if voted upon by my peers here.
I will second that.
All right, so we'll do a roll call vote. So Fred.
Yes.
Sean?
Yep.
Saul?
Yes.
And Mike is in the ether, so. All right, so Alicia, we're good to move on, right? Maybe?
She's nodding, but she's on mute.
Okay. All right.
I think we need to do all these other.
So
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, down the list. So, So Sean, you are currently the P card signer and packet signer. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I would be happy to do it again.
All right, I'll nominate Sean to be the packet and card signer.
Second.
All right, second. All right, then we'll roll call. So, Fred?
Aye.
Saul?
Aye.
Kevin is a yes. Mike, are you with us again? All right, he is not here. All right, so we'll nominate him for everything else.
It's the American way, Kevin.
One of those types, huh?
I'm back. What are we doing?
Oh, he's back. All right, so Mike, you are currently on the CPC, or you're currently the CPC representative, correct?
Yep, and I'd like to stay on if possible. It's a good group.
All right, can we get a nomination?
I will nominate Mike as our CPC rep.
I will second that.
All right, so we'll change up the order here. Saul,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Kevin is a yes.
So I do want to just say really quickly with the Sports Council. So this is a position that we have had that we have been trying to kind of create that Sports Council together for a while, and it hasn't actually taken. So the individual that would be taking on this role as a Sports Council representative, essentially the purpose and the point of this position is when we created that fee structure, we created sort of a charter for how we would organize and work with the youth sports organizations. So, years prior, the sports organizations were kind of underneath the Parks and Rec department as an umbrella, and we've split and gone our ways. But we still really need to have that involvement with the sports organizations so that we can easily have those conversations. Also, they are the ones that are out there using the fields. So the reality is that, we're going to get the best information of, what we need to fix, what we need to pay attention to from those sports organizations. So ideally, this person, the representative of the Sports Council, would kind of organize the groups together, whether it be the presidents of the organization or at least a representative from, each of the organizations, and that they would meet on a regular basis. I don't think it necessarily always has to be every month, but I would definitely say the months leading up to when the sports seasons are happening. So, probably end of winter to get into spring, and then probably midsummer or spring to get into fall time. So it is something that, we really need somebody, as far as the department's concerned, to really take that mantle and run with it and kind of make it their own and to really, bind that group together. So, we can provide the best support to the youth sports organizations that we can.
All right. Anybody interested?
Did I make it sound too scary?
So I guess my hesitation is that two parts. One, that I'm new and it sounds like it might be helpful to have some of the background. And two, I'm not well connected with the sports leagues because that's the one thing we're not part of for the most part. And it seems like having somebody who's connected to those leagues and the players involved or the presidents or the coaches would be helpful there.
All right, anyone? All right, so Alicia, is there is no current council, correct? Like it's something that has to be developed?
Sorry about that. So we did create a charter that has the organizational structure of what it would look like. And when we first had the discussion on this, we definitely had all the buy-in of the sports organizations that they wanted to be involved. And I think a lot of the similar individuals like Dan, who we just spoke to earlier, Bobby Crench, those individuals are still part of those organizations. So I think that, I don't think there would be any issue of, if they were contacted to say, hey, let's start the sports council up, and, actually start meeting, I think you would still get that support that people would want to do that.
All right. Can we table the sports council representative for now?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's have Saul get one meeting under his belt before we put him on the sports council. No, sorry. All right. So yeah, well, can we get a motion to table the sports council representative for now?
I move we table the sports council representative until a future meeting.
Second.
All right. So, Mike. So we're voting. So, Mike.
He just got kicked out and is coming back in. So,
All right, we'll come back to Mike. Saul.
Yes.
Fred.
Yes.
Sean.
Yes.
Kevin is a yes.
I'm back. What are we voting on?
You're voting yes, Mike. No. So we're just voting to table for now the sports council representative.
Okay.
So is that a yes?
Sure. Can you clue me in with who's the vice chair and who's
So
no, unless Mike wants to be the sports council representative, because it sounds like he wasn't part of that discussion.
Yeah. Fred is now the glorious chair. I am the vice chair.
Okay.
John is staying as the P card signer. You are. Yep. So.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna move on to town building space needs representative.
I can do that.
You're going to do that one? Okay, Fred. Then I'm not going to say anything about it.
All right. So I'll nominate Fred.
Second.
All right. So.
It comes with a car.
Oh, wow.
Nope.
So I'm a yes. Saul?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And Sean?
Yes.
All right. And Open Space and Recreation Plan Committee. Is there someone that's currently serving?
I believe it is Mike.
Is there still an Open Space and Recreation Plan Committee?
So yes and no. So the last time that we actually completed an open space and recreation plan was in 2016. So Gary Austin was the representative on the board at that time. And when Gary ended up, he had his time and walked away. We had Mike as the representative. So Mike helped finish up the last pieces of that plan. Moving forward, so we are now at 2020. We probably will not, I would imagine after COVID and every other thing that's happening right now, that it's not going to be something that's happening this year. But in future years, I think that is something that we are absolutely going to need someone to be heavily involved in that. As of right now, there may just be a few meetings and things like that, just to kind of to keep, up to date with the information.
I can stay on. It's another good. It was a good working group, and I can definitely stay on.
All right, so can get a nomination for Mike.
I nominate Mike to the Open Space and Recreation Plan Committee.
All right, so Saul.
Yes, I think we need a second in there somewhere, but.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we might need that second. So can we get
This
a
is
second?
Sean. I second. Sean second.
All right. Oh, now do you want to vote?
Yes.
All right. Sean?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Kevin is a yes.
Okay. Well done.
Alicia, are there folks who wanted to speak about anything? Like, are there people in the waiting or in the meeting that are like here for a certain subject?
Yeah, so Dawn, we have here as a request from the Masons to use the parking lot. That was something that it wasn't on the original agenda, so that was something we had to put under new business since we just heard about that today. And they have their event coming up on Thursday, so that's kind of an immediate request that we would need to be completed. And Melissa, I'm not entirely sure if there's a specific topic or if she's just visiting.
Okay, so is it okay with everyone if we move to Dawn and then Melissa just so they don't have to sit through all this if it's not what they want to do?
Yes.
All right. So Alicia, so I guess Dawn, you're up.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you moving this up ahead so we don't have to stay around. And I know you enjoy your meeting, but it's nice to be able to spend time with the wife. I'm a member at Tehadawon Lodge and an officer there, as well as an officer on several Grand Lodge committees from down in Boston. Each August, we have a training session for state-level representatives to go through some of the details of things they have to do in the fall. This year, with all the COVID stuff, I'm a retired physician. I'm well familiar with all of that. We're having to break it up into 2 sessions, and we are planning to do it outdoors in the Tehadawon Lodge parking lot. It's relatively secluded, so we won't be bothering anybody, and it's private. But we need a place to park. We'll be having 2 sessions, one this Thursday and the one next Thursday, weather permitting for both, of course. And we expect to have somewhere between 20 and 25 cars looking for a place to park. Really a lot of convenient on-street parking, although some of us will be parking around the Historical Society. I'd like to ask permission to use the Castle in the Trees parking lot, which is right close to the lodge, for the event. We'd be probably starting parking there about 6:30, and we should be finished by 9 o'clock. The spaces that are there now, I know every other space is marked off with the traffic cones, and that's fine. There should be enough spaces there for our needs, and I'd like to ask permission for us to be allowed to do that.
All right. Any questions from folks?
Well, isn't the park closed at 7, Alicia? Correct me if I'm wrong.
It is, at this point, it does close at 7 p.m. But I think the issue is that we didn't want people to be in there on the playgrounds, etc. So just to add that.
And we won't be using the playground, of course. We'd just be using a place to park in the lodge.
Right. But I mean, it's limited parking, right? Because of that.
So we do have the parking is at capacity. So we do have every other spot marked off, but there would be enough spaces for Dawn's request for the Masons.
How many spaces do we have there?
I don't know off the top of my head, but there's definitely 20 even with the
With the cones?
Cones and stuff up.
Yeah, I was by there today. My wife and I hiked up by there today, and there's between 20 and 25 spaces now that are free, even with it marked off. It should be plenty for us.
Yep.
And that's the time was in the evening, is that correct?
Yes, we'd probably start arriving about 6:30, and we'd be done by 9 p.m. Both this week and next week.
It seems reasonable.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Do we need to, if there, I don't know, do the police sort of look at parking after 7 o'clock at this point? Or are they not paying attention, or what's the?
There's a sign that says police take notice. I can I call Chief Bernard and chat with him about it and say I've got permission of the committee if you guys do so authorize, and let him know what's going to be happening.
And that was going to be my next statement, is I would give him a contact tomorrow and just let him know that it was approved.
Yes, I'd be happy to do that.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Do we need a motion, or is it just a ask, Alicia?
I would do it. Just, I mean, it can't hurt.
All right. So can we get a motion?
I move that we grant the Tehadawon Masonic Lodge permission to use the parking at 300 King Street on 8/13 and 8/20.
Second.
All right. So let's, Fred,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Saul,
Aye.
Kevin is a yes.
Thanks very much, y'all. The only unusual thing might be if weather knocks us out one day, because, you know, like with the pop-up thunderstorms. So we may need to switch one of the days to a later Thursday or something like that. But that would be the only unforeseen circumstance that I could think of right now.
Alicia, is that something that you can just kind of coordinate and we wouldn't need to vote or anything like that? It's
Okay. All right, and I'll check with Chief Bernard. I'll talk with him tomorrow.
awesome.
Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Good
Good
night,
night.
Just as an aside, nothing to do with the parking, but just as an aside, whenever there was an issue, even the most innocuous thing like why are there 7 leaves on the ground at Fay Park, Keith would always ask us what the vote was whenever anybody complained. So in the future, I will always want to vote, because it would never fail that we would vote
Did
on
you take a
78 things and the 79th would become an issue. And his first question was always, well, let me see the minutes and see what the vote was on that. So it's always good to vote.
All right.
Have a good night, folks. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Hello, Melissa.
I don't know if
All right. Should we recognize Melissa?
oh, I can't hear ya. So it has you, here, let me try. Go ahead, give that a go.
Now she's on mute.
All right. No, so you're unmuted. Well, I think you're back to being, so it looks like you're unmuted. We can't hear. You could always, you can try and call in too.
I don't think she can she hear us?
I don't know. Yo, she can, okay.
Okay, we can't hear you. Windows 98 is a problem.
There, I'm trying to think. What's the number? Let me see. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can pull up the agenda real quickly.
And I'm showing my age here now because I have to turn my flashlight on to read my keyboard.
Hang in there with me, Melissa. I'm trying to find it. All right. I got too many windows open right now. Nope, that's PowerPoint. Okay, let's try this one.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay. Sorry, thank you. My daughter ran off with my real computer, so I'm using a foreign one for me for doing this, so I apologize. So the reason why I'm joining here, and I know I'm a little late, but first I want to say my daughter, my 15-year-old, walked by and saw the drive-in movie thing and thought that would be really cool. So I just want to throw that out to you guys. That she was pretty excited when she read that. So that's a big kudos. I think that will be a lot of fun if you guys can get that rolling. My question is actually geared towards the basketball courts. I actually used to be involved in Littleton Youth Basketball for 9 years. I still have kids that like to play. I have a college kid. My husband likes to play. And then I still have a daughter that plays on the varsity team. So my question is, what is the plan for the courts? I looked at the chart today that Governor Baker put out, and it said we're in the lowest, transmission rates and so forth. And I just was wondering, I know that there's a team that has been playing through Littleton Youth Basketball if they submitted a proposal. I just didn't know how, as a family, we could go down and play and use the courts. It's something that's kind of, in our family, and we'd really like to be able to do. I know that Governor Baker has a youth program set up about, when things can open up and what's at high risk, moderate risk, and low risk. And basketball, I know, is a high risk, but it also says at level 1, which we're at, high risk level 1 could use skills and drills, so we could do that down on the court. So I just didn't know what the plan was for them, when we could start utilizing them, and at what point can they be opened up?
Alicia, do you want to speak to that, or do you want to?
I can, yeah. So the Park Commission, so last meeting that we had, which was in July, we talked about this specific issue. So the phase 3 came out, you're correct. The step 1 of the phase 3, it is listed as a high risk sport. So one of the other things that we've kind of created as we've gone along through COVID is this COVID-19 working group. And so there are representatives from the Board of Health. We have the fire chief, Park Commission representative, Board of Selectmen, FinCom. So we get together anytime one of these, anything that's going to change anything in the world of recreation and what the policies dealing with COVID, we all meet and we have the discussion on, what we need to do to move forward, or do we stay, what the group wants to do. So the last meeting, again, in July, the decision was made that since it was a high risk sport, that the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Health, and the Park Commission had all voted to keep the courts closed. And essentially the decision was made that the courts would be closed until the state allows gameplay again, because there's too much of that temptation to want to get out there and actually play the sport itself. So right. Is one of the things that the Park Commission did do for the youth sports organizations is that if they put together a operation management plan, that they would be granted use of the courts to be able to go out there and for basketball do the skills and drills. So we have one group on Wednesday nights that goes down for an hour and they do the skills and drills. And that's currently the only group that's permitted to be out there at this time.
So I guess I want to circle back to now, July 29th. Again, we're at, phase 3, step 1. So we can do skills and drills, at least on the courts. And I kind of look at, the castle in the trees. And I think that there's a level of trust that parents and kids have when they're using the actual castle in the trees, that, the kids are supposed to be social distancing. They're supposed to be wearing masks and that sort of things when they're playing on that. But I just don't know why that level of trust can't be carried over to the basketball court when there's people, again, around the whole town, doing different types of activities, and why that there's no level of trust with the basketball courts. And I guess my next question is, when would the COVID group meet again so that we could revisit the basketball courts now that we're further along in our opening plan in Massachusetts, and there is the level that we could at least do skills and drills, or even have a family go. Again, I'm a family of 5 and would love to go down and play with my kids, who are all reasonable, responsible adults and can play basketball as our quarantine group. So I just don't understand why we can't do that. If we're all in our quarantine group and we're all outside and the basketball courts we're not using the whole court, we could just use a half court. We're socially distancing from another group that's, far away from us if they were using another court. I just don't understand. That's even better than what's happening at Castle in the Trees, where parents are close together, kids are closer together while they're playing on the playground. Whereas, again, if I'm just with my family on a basketball court, shooting or playing 2-on-2 or something like that, I just don't know why that can't be revisited now that we're further along in our reopening plan. And I guess my other question would be, when is that group meeting again to revisit this?
So, Melissa, I'm sorry I hope I didn't interrupt. We can consider this public input at this point, but because it's not an item on the agenda, we really can't discuss, the concerns. I think if you contact Alicia, maybe we can put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Is that how it works, Alicia?
Yeah, we could do that. Just to give you a heads up, so Melissa, we did have the COVID-19 meeting today. So like I had mentioned earlier, we do them anytime that there's an update to one of these phases. So we did have a change in soccer, so that was something that we had to discuss today. We will only set those up, which you can look on the town website. We always post those in advance. It's the same thing as an open meeting law.
Okay.
So they would have to be, there's like a 48-hour window, but I try really hard to do. So like, for example, this meeting today I had posted on last Thursday.
Okay.
So I try to give a good chunk of time. Yep.
Okay. So here's my next question. If there's a group that's already playing their Wednesday nights and it's a youth group, why can't I put together a plan to put forth for a high school, like the girls varsity high school team that wants to come shoot and do skills and drills? That would not be anything outside the realm of what's already happening with the youth group. Am I correct?
That, again, it's something we can discuss at another meeting, but we can't, it's not on the agenda right now, so we're not discussing.
Well, I guess what's the procedure, Alicia, to submit a plan to you so that I could ask, maybe 5 or 6 girls that would like to try to shoot and do some skills and drills like what the youth basketball program is doing? Because I have talked to Mike Fontanella and what they're doing. What's to prevent me from putting forth a plan like they are?
So the agreement for right now is the Park Commission had the policy that they would work with the youth sports organizations. So if you do want to work with Littleton Hoops, you could do that, but that's got to go through Mike Fontanella and that group.
So you're saying only up until 8th grade.
But I think we need that. If you want to have the conversation with Alicia offline, I think that's the better forum, because we do have to get to the other items on the agenda, and I thought it was just a question, sort of like a comment you had, and not a discussion.
No, I have a discussion. So sorry.
Okay. No worries. So it would be awesome if you could sort of offline take up the discussion with Alicia, and then if something that needs to come through the Parks and Recs Commission, then we can, you can get on the agenda and take it up at the next meeting, or, the COVID meeting.
Right. And I guess that was my other question too, because I thought that it was the Parks and Recs Commission group that voted because of the COVID. Like, I guess my question is, who votes on opening the courts? Is it the COVID group or the Park and Recs Commission groups?
It's the Park.
So Tim is saying yes, and Alicia's saying no. So which one is it?
Park Commission.
It's the Park Commission that makes the
Commission. So it's you guys. So what's the COVID group has to do with it then?
So when we had the discussion of, so anytime there's a phase change into anything that comes from the state, that's where we'll bring that group together so that we can have a really in-depth conversation and discussion about what Board of Health or fire chief or police chief feels is the right thing to do moving forward. And then, you know, they go out to their individual boards and have that conversation. But like Kevin said, I can talk to you offline. So if you want to email me, we can talk tomorrow. My email is
I ran the rec program, and I used to submit a whole bunch of referee fees to you. So I have it, Alicia, don't worry. So.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so go ahead and reach out to me, and we can we'll chat about all of this stuff. Okay.
Okay.
Can I chime in?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't feel like we have to meet on the commission again on this. If Alicia wants to meet or can meet with Melissa on this, and if you know, if Basketball Hoops through Mike Fontanella is on board, I have no problem doing similar with the youth basketball that's currently running right now.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that.
Yeah. But you know, Alicia, I stand corrected. While I was multitasking, and I did look, and basketball is still considered high risk.
Yep.
Right, but you can still go to.
Oh no, I totally agree.
Right.
It boggles my mind. It's considered high risk.
Right.
That's just me.
Right, and I just left Alumni Field, and I know the school department runs Alumni Field, and then Park and Rec runs the courts. I understand the whole fields and who owns what and who regulates what in town, but it is aggravating to see, you know, I've got, you know, the girls varsity team playing soccer there, and then you've got a football group there, and then you've got lacrosse, boys lacrosse, they're all playing on the same field in one night, and then there's softball on the softball field, and we can't use the basketball courts, and then Castle in the Trees is open. So I know the school runs their thing, and Park and Rec runs their thing. I totally get it. But again, I think as a citizen, it's like, well, why can't there be a level of trust with the basketball courts? You know, again, like our family just wanting to go down, get some shooting in, you know, get the kids on board and let my son, who loves basketball, play a little bit with his family.
Well,
you know?
just to be clear, I mean, I think we're just guidelines as they are. I might not agree with it, you know, necessarily being, you know, a high risk, but it is. So we're trying to follow on that, and so this wouldn't be for, you know, we're not opening it for families.
Right.
We are doing it for, you know, the youth groups, and I certainly think. You know, the high school basketball team is an extension of that.
Right.
So I have no problem in that regard.
Okay, I'll talk to Alicia tomorrow, and I can see what I need to put together. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I'll listen to the rest of the program, so I'm here, so you guys can move on.
You're brave. You want to listen to the rest of this, huh? All right, so where are we? All right.
We got John here. I see Camp T, but so it's not Camp T. Let me see. That's my mistake.
So I got review of playground program that spans a gap between camp and delayed school start. John Kazanjian. Is that where we're at?
Yep, you got it.
All right, Mr. Kazanjian, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I thought you had something about O'Neill Cinemas on there, no?
Later on, but you can talk about that too if you want.
I don't know anything about it. I just know that something's happening with that. No, we're looking to run the playground program that a lot of other towns are running with the extension of school being not available till the 16th. We wanted to offer something for kids with, you know, parents that were working and needed some supervision. So Tim and I and others in the department, Rachel and Alicia, have worked together to come up with this program to sort of do like a rotation between the Long Lake Beach, Castle in the Trees, and Fay Park was one of the proposed locations. I think we're gonna, with the numbers being what they are, we would just like to go from Castle in the Trees to Long Lake Beach with this group. They'd be dropped off and picked up. We would use a lot of the guidelines of camp with the attestation form, the daily screening before being able to attend, the temperature checks, a lot of our same paperwork required, medical records and all that stuff for being part of the program. So right now we have between 22 and 30 registrants a week for this program. So we are looking to ask to close Castle and the Trees for the hours of 7:30 to 2:30. And it would only be a couple days a week, 2 days a week right now for all of the weeks, unless we get more people, more registrants. And then we would have to split the groups, and then it would be the all 5 days for those hours. And we would also be down at Long Lake with the same swim box that we had for Camp T. We would be, off in the shady kind of tree area under some tents with some tables, sort of roped off from the rest of the groups there, and have the kids do a lot of swimming and the older kids doing some boating and doing arts and crafts and sciencey things, and getting ready to do all the not getting ready, but to do like a lot of with the same camp staff that we had in place to work that program, along with Rachel Carbutt and Katie Judge and myself to help supervise at times. Anything else you want me to say, Alicia or Tim? So we're asking the Park Commission if we can close the playground from August 17th to September 11th between 2 and 5 days a week between the hours of 7:30 and 2:30, in which we would, have signage where the area would be closed at Castle. Long Lake, I know that Tim and I have spoke about, we obviously with capacity levels, we'd be able to keep it open to others to use. So we would certainly want that. We don't want people not to have a place to swim there, but Castle's another story with it being sort of, such a closed in, even though it's certainly plenty of room, but for 30 kids there, it would be a program we'd like to have it closed for safety and for the ability for our program to run well supervised as well.
So one thing to add into that is in typical playground programs, which a lot of departments do, that is part of the typical operations, that they would close the parks to the public for the times of the duration. So I guess ultimate discussion for you guys, it's up for you to decide, but I would say, is it, something that you're open to? Is it something that, thinking about like times, any of those pieces? So I think we wanted to kind of throw it out here to have that discussion on the Park Commission's thoughts on the program and of the use of those spaces.
So just to point out, kind of to piggyback on that before anybody, one of the main reasons that you would close the park as well isn't just to limit exposure during COVID-19, but it's also to limit the amount of people, because you have to remember that we Corey and Story check all of our people. So it's a safety measure that you'd be taking for the kids. Just like when they're at camp, they're protected from the other people that they're seeing and being exposed to. This is also something where we would be shutting down the playground, and you'd have only authorized staff there who would fall under those Corey Story things. They wouldn't necessarily be interfacing with any adult who could show up to the park. So that's something that, needs to be considered when you're running something like this.
This is Sean. I got a quick question. This is to fulfill a need, kind of in lieu of daycare for folks since school got pushed back. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I think it's a great idea.
Is registration open up to non-Littleton residents?
They are. If we had a situation where we were full of residents of Littleton and we would ask and we were getting to the point where we couldn't take Littleton residents because we were running out of spots or non-residents, so we would obviously bump them for Littleton residents. It's kind of our, what's the word I'm looking for, Alicia?
We've never been in that situation, luckily.
Never have,
But
I think you'll prioritize, Kaz.
Our priority has always been the residents of Littleton, but we do end up serving a lot of other towns surrounding us as well.
I guess I have two questions. One is what was the reason for choosing to switch to just Castle as opposed to Fay? I feel like that would be less burdensome on the rest of the town. And then the other is what's the backup plan for weather?
So weather, a washout, we cancel the day.
Okay.
That's what we do at Teen Adventures. That's what we would do this week at Camp T. We were actually, we were asked, this was even before COVID, that the last day of Camp T at Shaker Lane would be August 7th. So we knew we would be outside this week anyway. So we're out in the tents behind the school. This is the only week they're allowing us to kind of stick around, even out there. We're looking for another place. A lot of it has to do with the age of the kids that are being registered. We have a lot of little kids. We don't think Fay Park would be really conducive for that. That playground structure is really minuscule, as I'm sure you know. I think this gives them the most opportunity to have an enjoyable experience for 5 hours a day. So that's where we thought we would have the most draw for people to register, because we also, we want to make a viable program for us to continue to exist here in town. So, that's not the only reason why we do everything is for childcare, but of course we do want to fill that need, and we do want to have a program that helps us as a department sort of survive.
Saul, as you know too, the infrastructure is much better at Castle. So Fay Park is underwater a lot. If we even get a little bit of rain, we have better access to power and water. And then, as far as containment of especially the younger group Kaz is talking about, the ability for that playground is fenced in is drastically helpful for doing. And then we also have the fences already around the basketball courts. So that's a little more conducive to being able to do some of the stuff that we have planned for this particular program.
We also have, sorry, I'm watching the hockey game. It's in quadruple overtime, by the way. So for as far as like Fay Park, it's just such a wide open area that it would be really tough to contain, 30 kids. We do have plenty of staff, but we would just prefer Castle on the Trees as, like I said, more of a draw, a better environment for these guys, a more fun place to be. There'd be a lot of creativity involved to keep the kids occupied at Fay Park. We were hoping to use Fay for a lot of the older kids to do a lot of hiking and go down and do some boating, and they can actually hike over to Long Lake and be part of that area down there if they needed to. So that was going to kind of be for the older guys mostly.
So just to clarify, we're not looking for, no, I'm not muted. Just to clarify, we're not looking for every single day. It's going to be 2 or 3 days a week. Is that right?
So right now with the numbers where there are, like next week we would do Monday at Long Lake, Tuesday, Wednesday at Castle on the Trees, Thursday and Friday at Long Lake. And we looked at the weather forecast and the hotter days we were going to be at the lake. We did as far out as the forecast sort of showed. So, we think Long Lake and the swimming for the summer is more conducive, obviously not having to close down. We didn't want to have to close down the parks every single day. So, having, Long Lake there for the kids to swim and boat was something we thought would be, do something to do more. So it'd be 2 days a week at Castle right now, 3 days a week at Long Lake. But if registration continues to grow, and the last 2 weeks are already up to 30 kids, if we get to like the 35 range, we just think, it's way too many kids. So even though we would separate them into 2 groups at the location, we would prefer to separate them at 2 different locations. We would keep to the 25 person group sizes that were allowed. Once, even at right now at 30, we would go 15 and 15 and have the kids separated and never intermingling for the week, even at the one location or the other. But the other.
I'm just going to throw out to you, my older son works at Teamworks. He's a camp counselor there for the summer. And although he's taken off for college, they're starting to float an idea that for doing more programs, now that a lot of families are going remote or schools are going remote, but they're starting to entertain a program where they're doing care during the day, lots of activities, but they're also including in there some hours and time for the kids to do their remote learning during the day. So I don't know if that's something, if coming down the pike in the fall, that might fill a need for some of the parents in Littleton, the smaller group, and doing it a week at a time or something like that. I don't know. I just threw that out to you
We actually have
it.
a full
just as a reminder, so during the meeting, you have to use your raise your hand function and also state where you're from, but you have to be called on and address it through the chair. You can't just openly speak while we're having a discussion.
All right, well, just to answer that we do have a program getting ready to roll out in the next week, specifically for remote learning. But yeah, that's a great idea. We're on it.
All right. Any other commissioners have any comments, questions?
No, I'm good.
So can we get a motion to approve the closure of the playgrounds, our closed playgrounds to the public on August 17th through September 11th, 2020 for the Parks and Recs Playground Program?
And that's only for some of the days, not all of those days, but.
Yeah. For right now, we would like to see the vote say between 2 and 5 days per week, just because there's a possibility in the last 2 weeks that we will need to close it all 5 days. And I don't want to lose that opportunity for you guys to vote. If you obviously object to that, that's fine. And then we can just make other plans. But, I would like to see the approval say 2 to 5 days a week. That way we can, still have that open option in weeks 3 and 4 to close it for the 5 days. If we do, every day we get 2 more, and now we're up to 30 we have exactly 30 kids in the last 2 weeks. We have 22 next week, and 21 the week after that. So right now, I think the next 2 weeks we'll be doing the 2 and 5 for the 2 days a week closure at Castle. But we definitely want the vote to say between 2 and 5 days.
John,
so I would say you guys could add something like as needed, knowing that our intention is trying to keep the parks open as much as we can.
Is there a cap, before we entertain the motion again, is there a cap that you're looking at, or is it just going to be as many kids as you can get?
So the cap originally was set at 60, and that was the 3 park model. 20 kids at a location. Is there a possibility we get there? I don't know. Maybe that would bring us to, using Fay again. And that wouldn't require closing it, because it's certainly wide open enough for us to slide out of the way. If we're in the big group, if we're using part of the playground, I'm not worried about, I find that there's not many people there mostly during the day anyway, like Castle is. So, but yeah, so the cap is 60. That's the number we were shooting for. That was what we get at camp every week right now. But we're pretty happy with the way it's sort of lined up.
And actually, one other on the beach end, are you also taking over the play structure there? Is that the plan?
Tim's, because he runs the beach, I'm going to let him talk on that.
So we're still up in the air on that. We've had some discussion today on that. Ideally, if they use the structure at the beach, we wouldn't necessarily need to close that whole park, because we already have limited access due to the pass system that we use down there. we have the blue snow fencing around it. We could add an additional fence around the back of the playground like we originally had when we had it closed if, we're running the playground program while we're there, if they're using the playground as opposed to just swimming and using the boats. One of the ideas I actually floated to Kaz that we haven't explored yet is if we were to flip the camp model the different way around. So, right now Camp Tahadawan walks to the beach to swim. One of the things I proposed to Kaz this afternoon was, what if we did swimming at the beach and then walk to Shaker Lane and use the sports fields and the playground there where there's much less use, less touches than what we have at the beach. So I think that we're still up in the air what we want to do with that playground and what the opportunities are. But as far as beach playground goes, if we were to utilize that, I think we just use blue snow fence for the times that the program wishes to use it for.
And are the play structures of the schools open or no?
Yes.
They are. Okay.
They
Yeah,
never close them.
if we're closing both of the sort of main play structures in the parks, can we direct people somewhere?
Yeah.
So if they can go to the schools, maybe that's either way. So I guess let's try and leave one of those.
Yeah, Russell Street Playground's open. The Shaker Lane technically is open. It's behind the school, so not a lot of the general public kind of uses it. But it is open, and they never closed it during any of this. So, but there are certainly other places for people to go. I would hate to send someone away. I think this program is really going to be beneficial to a lot of kids in town and families, especially that need to work. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's going to be a great program model for us to look at, even to do at different times.
All right. Any other comments, questions, concerns? All right. We'll entertain a motion if so desired.
Move that we approve the closure of the playgrounds as needed between August 17th and September 11th for the playground program between 7:30 and 2:30. Does that work?
Second.
All right. So we had a second. So let's vote. Fred? I think Fred?
Aye.
Saul?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Kevin is a yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Moving on. So we've got the update. Is the game over yet, John?
No.
Okay. Wish I had a TV in here. No. Update of Long Lake renovation.
All right, so to keep this moving, status of the new snack shack, the pad, we just redid a pad last week. We actually got some blocks and worked on the grade and everything else. So if you come down to the beach, you'll see the new snack shack pad, which is on the boat ramp side of the bathhouse. The new snack shack / storage building / recreation office will be delivered next Tuesday. And light and water will come, and we have an electrician coming to hook everything up, at which point that building will become our primary storage building for the remainder of the year. That will give us the ability to keep the current bathhouse free and clear of all the stuff we normally put in there, which will help extend the season for doing yoga classes, sailing classes, whatever else we decide to do through September, October. So any questions about that? All right. Titec alarm, for whatever reason, prior to my time here, and Alicia can speak on this if she wants to chime in, we've had issues with that Titec alarm burning out. The control box keeps frying. We just had it replaced once again, so it should be good to go. The particular one that we got this time has a limited warranty on it. So hopefully if it goes in the next year again, we'll be able to do it, get it replaced without having to pay for it. So everything's working pretty well there. Still yet to be told, but we're trying to see if the low flow fixtures that we installed in the bathhouse have any bearing on if we're pumping the tight tank less. So as soon as we start to get some of those bills in, we will start to assess that, and I'll give you guys a report where we end up as far as the tight tank and the cost that we've had this summer incurred due to that. So
I think ultimately the answer is yes, because we've only had one emergency pump.
I would agree with that as well. We also haven't had any rain this summer, so
that's fair.
We had limited snowpack. We've had problems in the past with water intrusion through the bathhouse, and those floor drains have taken on rainwater and snow melt and things like that. This year we didn't seem to have the same type of issues. And we haven't had any of the huge rainstorms that really affected us last year. So I do think that the fixtures have had a difference though, because it seems like we've pumped that a lot less. So bathroom fixtures were updated. All of the toilets are not only toilets and sinks are switched over to low flow fixtures. They're also switched over to touchless fixtures. So we did that with the COVID stuff. So everything is those Sloan centerless, touchless toilets and sinks. It seems to be working out pretty well. We haven't had any issues since we made the switch. So I think it was a pretty good addition to the bathhouse, especially in the times that we're in right now.
All right. Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns? All right. Awesome. Thank you, Tim. And director's report.
All right. Give me 1 second here. So I gotta unshare so I can get to my information here. All right. I need to do this and escape that. All right. So some of the stuff that we're talking about as far as the update with the department finances for fiscal year 21 is somewhat of a repetition from the previous meeting. So for Saul, this will be the first time that you hear it. So feel free to ask any questions. One of the big issues that our department faces, so not only are we an enterprise fund, which means we get limited funding from the town, and the majority of all of our revenue has to be brought in by our programming. So that's one thing. Two, the beginning and end of our fiscal years are in a very odd place for us. So typically businesses normally run December 31st and January 1st. So in the municipal world, it is June 30th, 31st, and July 1st, which is smack dab in the middle of when we bring in the majority of our revenue for the year. So it kind of skews the numbers that we have. So Tim, I just wanted you to explain the numbers that you ran by me today for the beach, just as an example that kind of shows that.
Yeah, so I mean, a prime example is Long Lake Beach. So if you look at Long Lake Beach, this summer, since we started selling beach passes, which are, a majority of what we bring in there, and the beach passes specifically are levied at paying for the payroll at Long Lake Beach. Typically that runs us about $80,000. This year it's running much less. However, if you look at the numbers as a whole, we're close to $83,000 worth of revenue with beach passes and sailing and all of the things that factor into Long Lake for this summer. If you break that out into fiscal year, this fiscal year, which is 21, we're at just under $32,000. So what does that mean? So if I take fiscal year into consideration at $32,000, assuming that we didn't generate any other revenue, expenses and payroll will give us about a $3,700 deficit come Labor Day when we close the beach. If you factor it in over the course of the entire summer, we would have about a $32,000 profit. When you look at the numbers put together, if you take, our payroll and our expenses deducted out of the full 72,000. So when we're talking about budgeting for the town, what's going to happen is we'll pick up the $32,000 that we have right now, plus whatever we take in from now to Labor Day, and added to that total, you'll take in the front side of the pass sales for next season. So whatever we sell from January 1st through June 30th. So whatever that number is then becomes your real number. It's 32,000 plus whatever. And then you have to deduct the expenses for actual expenses and wages for July through August into September, plus whatever we spend for beach setup, which typically is May through June 30th. And training is also included for the following fiscal year. So, when you look at that, it kind of skews things because, you're paying for your training and everything out of fiscal year 21 for lifeguards and staff that you're paying in fiscal year 22. So that's, kind of in a nutshell, in a high level thing, how the entire department is affected and looked at. Camp T, when you're talking, the best the beach is ever going to do is about $115,000 gross in a summer. That's just all there is there. But, when you look at a program like Camp Tehadawon that you're pushing $300,000 gross, those numbers become very, very tricky. And especially for people who don't have an understanding of how we operate across those fiscal years, it'll look at the end of September that we're running this huge deficit when the reality is once that money comes in January through June, we're actually running pretty significant profits.
Awesome. Thank you. So one of the things that we talked about from the August 3rd meeting was, setting up this meeting to discuss with the finance director, Herrick Stella, and our new town interim town administrator, Joe Layden, to discuss the finances and where we're at. So we had that meeting. So ultimately, the three of us kind of sat down and talked about the numbers because we're trying to get on the same page. We use the MyRec software to process all of our revenue. And then all of the expenditures go through another software called Munis. And sometimes and especially now during COVID, there's been a delay whether revenue or expenditures implemented. So we kind of get more up-to-date numbers in the office with our MyRec program than might be in Munis. So, part of this conversation is how do I work with the finance department in the future so that we can try to stay on top of these numbers and make sure that, we're in a solid place moving forward. Since we did have such a large deficit the end of this last fiscal year because of COVID-19. So there's a few costs that we get sort of hit with a big chunk. So for example, right now we had received our yearly installment of the retirement. So we, as a department, have to put in a chunk of money to cover, our staff for retirement in the future. So that was $52,000 that, you just get whacked with right off the bat. So, that doesn't help us. So one of the things that we're trying to do is any costs like that, we're trying to spread that number out throughout the year so we can kind of get a real estimate of what the genuine deficit is going to be at that time frame. So if we do that and take, that number, spread it out across the 12 months in equal components, Cheryl estimated that our current deficit is somewhere around $22,000. So I still need to run my numbers. I'm going to do that tomorrow. It's on my list to do to see if my results match. And we'll be setting up another meeting to kind of go over that. And we'll have monthly check-ins just to make sure that we're still, hitting the tasks that we need to moving forward. So the point is, even though that we are in a deficit, it's actually not too far off from a normal year. And that goes back to, as Tim was saying with the beach, how it, our fiscal year for a summer program, so whether it's Camp Tehadawon or the beach, we're looking at July 2020, August 2020, and then June 21. So, there is that delay in the programming. So we're also trying to find ways to be able to really bring the payments of any of these registrations in on a monthly level. So let's see here. Let me move.
Oh, Alicia, I do have the homepage of MyRec open. Do you think it would be helpful to show these guys the year over year?
Give me 1 second. Let me finish this up, and then we can pull that information out there. We just make sure that there's no sensitive information of names.
There's no family information. It's just that graph of the year to year.
Yep. So Cheryl, Joe, and I, like I said, we're gonna work together. We're going to have a meeting with representatives from the Board of Selectmen, FinCom, and PC. So Fred, you as the chair, that's gonna be you. And we'll discuss the future planning on how we get through the year, because the reality is that this isn't a normal year. And we're gonna have to be really cautious on what we do. I think we have a really good game plan moving forward. And I think that it's something, if we can get this program to kind of assist with the school department, and John and Tim had a meeting this evening where they talked to PTA representatives and some parents, and it sounds like, the general idea of what the program went over really well. And it sounds like the potential of this program being a success would be very highly likely. So I think for us, that's something that we really want to focus on, that program and making it run. And we're going to pull back on some of these other programs. So we'll probably have less of the community education. Last meeting, we talked about minimizing the teen programming, because it's something that we've always tried to do, but we just didn't have a lot of interaction with those programs, other than our RISE program, which was the after school program. But the room that we would normally operate RISE at this point in time, due to COVID-19, there's only 4 people that are allowed in that space. So we're not going to be able to run that program. So we really do need to focus on K through 6th grade to try to help out parents during this time frame. So that's kind of the big piece about the finances right now. I sent you guys a lot of information with the forecasting model. And that's something that, if you would like, at your pleasure, I can send that to you on a monthly basis. That's something that I'm going to be doing with Cheryl and Steve Venuti while he's here. He's going to be retiring in November. So that's something that, we will continue on with that path, especially this year. But I personally would like to continue to do that in years moving forward, so that we can really stay on top of the finances. So any questions, comments, concerns?
So the deficit you're talking about, how different is that from a normal year now?
I think it's about like 10,000 right now. That would be different. So normally we'd be around 10,000, not 21, but there are some costs incurred, such as, having a nurse for Camp Tehadawon and a janitor. These are things that we wouldn't have had in a normal year, that we needed to be able to do to operate the programs, under the guidelines for COVID-19. So there's some situations where, because of COVID, we're trying to get the programming, and we're trying to really focus on how we can support the community. And in some of those cases, for the teen program. We've had some weeks where, you know, it's probably only 4 or 5 kids, but we want that program to be able to go because we know those 4 or 5 families really need that support. So it's that balance of trying to figure out, you know, we have the staff and we can do these programs and we're taking a little bit of a hit. But that's something where, again, moving forward in the hopes that we're going to be able to run this program, that you know, we feel comfortable making some of those decisions in the summertime, knowing that, again, when we get into May and June, we're going to get the, you know, the revenue back from Camp T as well. Anything else? All right. Kaz, you still here? He's like sucked into his hockey game. So the program planning, this is where we're at. So we talked about Tehadawon in the parks, but I wanted you to talk a little bit about this meeting tonight that you had about the school year program to help assisting families through the virtual schooling throughout the school year. And, you know, the one thing that we do know, we have a very loose plan, and a lot of that is going to take shape once the school committee or Littleton Public Schools take a vote on Thursday night. What model will look like, whether it's going to be a hybrid or 100% virtual. That would change what our program looks like. But I'll let John and Tim talk about this. The two of them with Rachel have been putting a lot of time and effort into it. So I will hand it over to either one of you.
I think Tim should speak on it because he's been doing the most sort of running around with us. I'll fill in the gaps if you want.
Because you want to watch the game?
Well, no, they just canceled the Bruins game for tonight because this game's going into 5th overtime. Tim.
Alicia, can you give me screen sharing rights? Did you do that? Just make,
it said the host.
Just make me a co-host.
Okay. You are a host.
You are a host.
Sweet.
Congratulations.
Host.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah,
so just to give you guys kind of, we won't go through the whole thing, but I'll just kind of let you see what we showed everybody. So what we pitched was the monitored remote learning program. As far as we're looking to provide parents an option for all-day daycare on remote learning days, provide students a space to complete remote learning with limited distractions, provide students with daily socialization that's allowed by state and local guidelines. Basically, we would be helping students log in and out to complete assignments, helping students attend live meetings as required, guidance and support from a program aide or room monitor, keeping to small groups. Right now, 25 would be our target number. Daily schedule to include lunch, snacks, and outdoor activities. Students would need, you know, certain requirements to be met in order to do it. When assignments are done, we would provide outlets, which would include going outside to play approved games and sports and have free play, free choice time, and arts and crafts activities. A typical day would look something like one of the school models. This happens to be the middle school model, but we would follow exactly what they set forth. Typical day would be drop off based on your student's start time, K through 6. You would fill out an attestation form and do a temperature check, just like all the current Park and Rec programs. Students would walk to their assigned theater. We will be partnering with O'Neill Cinemas. So we will be using the movie theater to do this, which gives us a lot of benefits that I can run down through later. Students will walk to their assigned theater to assigned seat. The seats are electronic, so each seat has a plug as well as a tray table and a cup holder for optimum comfort and learning and holding of drinks and food for possibly lunch. Follow a daily remote learning schedule is provided by the schools. Snack, lunch, bathroom, outdoor, free time, mask-free breaks. Possible movie that will be simulcasted on all the screens once a week. Pickup time based on the students' K through 6 starts. This is how the rooms would be set up. We would start off using the smaller theaters. Students would be spaced about 7.5 feet apart, which is 2 chairs between each student. Room monitor would be in the very front of the room up against the movie screen where the gray box is located in this picture. You would, on this picture, come in on the right side of the theater. The exit would be on the left side of the theater. All rows would be one way. Bathrooms would be assigned to limit interactions of pods. So basically theater 1 through 3 would be one bathroom, 4 through 6 would be another bathroom, and 7 and 8 would be a different one. We'd have floating aids to assist as needed to assigned groups. We would hire a nurse just as we did for the camp with a designated isolation room. It's Carson, sorry. Isolation room for anybody who became sick throughout the day. We would hire an on-site janitor for hourly bathroom and common space sanitization and cleaning. Hand sanitizer stations, nightly disinfection of the entire facility with a mister fogger and electrostatic cleaner. And obviously, just like we have for all the programs this summer, we would have strict adherence to all state and local guidelines. Right now, we're proposing 25 kids per auditorium or whatever we get from the guidance by Board of Health or the fire chief. Cost directly related to the number of participants. Right now, we're projecting that's going to be about $150 to $200 for a 3-day session. Normal PRC family discounts are being considered, but something will be offered for families with multiple children. We're asking families when they get waitlisted to check with their insurance companies as long as both parents are working, FSA funds can be used to cover childcare. So with this plan, we're waiting on a vote on Thursday from the school committee so we can keep moving forward once we know the actuals of what's going to happen and we're not just throwing darts at a wall. Discussion will be made with the Board of Health on where this program falls. Does it meet the REC guidelines? Does it have to fall under childcare guidelines? Or are there some other guidelines that the state has that they're going to want this to fall under? We'll write the policies, plans, and procedures and send them off to the Board of Health for approval. We'll open a wait list tentatively at the end of next week. Open registration tentatively at the end of the following week. And we'll start the program on September 16th. So that was the slideshow that we presented to everybody. It seemed to be very, very well received. It seems to be something that a vast majority of the community is not only looking forward to, but desperately needs. So Thursday is going to be kind of the tell of what we're actually going to be able to do based off of what they decide to do for schools in Littleton. So sorry I flew through that. I know it's getting late. I wanted to kind of get, John, do you have anything that you want to add to that?
Not really, just a lot of good feedback at that parent little discussion we had today. I think it's going to be a much needed thing, even for parents that are working from home. And I know I mentioned my personal experiences with remote learning in the spring, and it was miserable. So, and I was trying to work from home, coming back to Park and Rec, and it was just a nightmare. So I think it's something that's needed. It's something that's wanted. It's something that, will be definitely beneficial to our department and beneficial to the families. It's a win-win everywhere you look. Being at O'Neill Cinemas is huge. It's got plenty of space. I'm excited for the possibilities of this thing for us, for giving people what they need at a time when they really need it. Those that are ready to have their kids go back and can't send them back because they get the choice is sort of out of their hands. With even if they have an in-person, it's going to be hybrid. And if most of the people vote on this survey to do remote, they're going to go to remote, from what I understand. So it is what it is, and I think we're coming to the rescue in a lot of ways, and I'm excited for to work with Tim and Rachel and Alicia to develop this program to do something good for the town.
I don't know.
Kevin?
All right. No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to. I was trying to say, trying to move so I could see if there was anything else on the agenda. But any other comments, questions, concerns about this program?
I guess the only thing I'd say is I think I've heard from a fair number of people that regardless of what the school decides, are going remote anyway. So I don't know how many of those would be willing to put their kids in a program if that's part of their concern, but it's at least worth consideration.
I think that I agree with you. I've been seeing the comments on Facebook. I see a lot of people, they're sort of like the vocal majority. I don't think that's the majority of the town personally, but I think you see about the same 30 people commenting. I do see a lot of people saying that they're going to keep their kids out, but I also see a real strong need for this program. I don't think they'll choose to go remote and come to our program. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think we'll definitely have, even if we have 20 people and it's 20 kids that need it, for their parents to go back to work, that's fine. We'll do it for that. We'll do it with 10. We'll do it with ever. If it ends up being a hugely successful program and we sell out and we have a wait list, then great for that case too. But, I don't want you, Saul, to have a situation where you came and work because you have to print your stuff out for your daughters. You got to scan something in. You got to remind them when their Zoom is. You got to get them off the video games and on. Although your kids probably don't play video games, but mine do. So I spent my entire day, and then I had to make lunch, and then I had to, get out, go do something, and then get back in for the thing, and it just to have that put on someone else so that you can function in the world again, I think is just invaluable for folks that really need it, that are okay with being around others right now.
Yep.
Hey, John, and Tim, are the aides that are going to be in the rooms, are they going to be Littleton, like paraprofessionals that, maybe not would be hired again this year?
So if anybody's watching at home, you have our preference. If you are one of those people, call us 978-540-2490 and tell Kaz and I that you're interested in the posting when it goes up. So yes, like I said in the meeting, and I'll send everybody a copy of the meeting so you can watch it at your leisure. It's very quick. Yeah, that would be a priority. People who are already in our kids' lives, who are helping them out in schools, who need a job, and the kids already know them. That's best case scenario.
Yep.
Yeah, we reached out to Martha from Tigers Den. We understand that program may not run at all this year, from what we understand. So we already had a discussion about offering a position to people that work there that already have all the qualifications and are familiar with the kids. And I think most of the Tigers Den kids are going to be kids that are going to be coming to this program because same scenario, they got to go to work,
Yeah. I think it's going to fulfill a need, Not everyone's going to need it, but some people are, and I think it's a great program.
I agree.
All right. Any other questions?
Qualifying question. Did Mike actually take that picture, or has he been frozen for the past 45 minutes?
I know, Mike, you're kind of scaring me here because you've been staring at me for 2 hours.
It's a picture.
He's very disciplined.
Yeah.
The last thing that you guys have on new business was the drive movies. So Tim, I don't know if you want to go through that really quick too.
Tim, I got 7% on my computer and I don't know where my cord is. So.
This is even quicker. So we did a mock setup on Friday with O'Neill. We have approval from property management. There's a couple logistic things, just additionally insured licenses that need to be put through. We will be using the Park and Rec movie screen and the sound setup, as well as an FM receiver. O'Neill would be providing the movies, concessions. There's going to be a beer truck. It'll be $30 per carload plus, I believe, an additional $5. Don't hold me to this, people. It's just throwing numbers out of my head. I believe it's an additional $5 for everybody over 5 people in the car. But we will be starting in 2 weeks We will put a schedule up on our website, the O'Neill website, the Point website when it is ready, but drive-in movies are coming to Littleton in the next 2 weeks.
What sort of movies are we looking at? Do we know?
So they are doing like old school movies and other venues. So that was one of the nice things is we gave everybody kind of a 2-week head start to see how things were working out in a couple of the other locations they were. After the first one, we actually had some good feedback and we were able to, put into play for our walkthrough on Friday. The conversations have been, do we do the classics or do we do things that went kind of direct to on demand, like Trolls World Tour and stuff like that. Ultimately, it's going to be their decision based off of what these the production studios are charging for that movie in that particular week. So more to come, but we'll put the full list and times and everything else, and everything will be a pre-sale on the O'Neill Theater website.
So I just wanted to chime in. I spent the day up at Rumney rock climbing, and to get away from the crowds, it was a lot of hiking. So you don't want to see me at this point. I'm a mess.
All right. Any questions about the drive-in theater?
Not about the theater, but going back to the programming. You had a survey out about boating for the fall. What did you get any feedback on that, or was there direction on that yet?
We did. We got some really positive feedback. I forget who I talked to at the beach the other day, but you and I can catch up offline because I did kind of throw some ideas out there that hopefully made it to you. We did get a lot of positive feedback. We're looking at either doing 1 week, like a weeknight afternoon kind of thing, or we're looking doing like a Saturday, more hours. So more to come on that. The other thing is I also need staff who's able to do that. Along with that, I'll just put it out in the public forum. If you yourself or know of anybody who wants to kind of coach the kids, we do have 2 World Cup boats from the World Cups 2 years ago that are fully rigged out and are saleable in regattas. So if anybody wants to start a club team for the schools and build this program a little bit, you guys can throw those boats on a trailer and go to any regatta you want. They're already certified. They're stamped. They have everything they need to do it. So I think that in the keeping the sailing program moving forward, I think starting a Littleton club team would be an awesome opportunity, especially for some of these kids who have done such an amazing job in our program.
Very cool.
Saul should teach it.
Apparently that was suggested to Tim by somebody.
It was one of your good friends.
All right. Any other new business? All right. Can we entertain a motion to adjourn? Anyone? You want to stay on? And
I move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Yeah.
Second.
Does everyone motion to adjourn? We'll roll call vote. Everyone's an aye, I assume. Yes.
Sean, aye.
Yep. I got to say aye instead of yes. All right. Aye. All right. Thanks, everyone. Alicia, we good?
Oh, congratulations, by the way. Looking forward to working with you.
Yeah, Saul, welcome aboard. We'll put you on more committees next week. Don't worry. Next time we meet. Don't worry.
All righty.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yes, Melissa, thank you for joining us. Good night.
Night.
Bye.
Tim, can you end the recording, please?